I think ignorance is intelligence. And when you realize that, when you realize being ignorant and kind of letting go of trying to one up people and be so in depth and so involved with politics, the news, whatever it may be, when you stop trying to do those things, you find a sense of peace and you really live life not being so stressed. And I'll explain how I do this. I wouldn't say I'm the most stress-free person, but I don't really focus on things that I know are going to rile me up. And what I mean by that is things like the news, like politics, all that stuff. I try to keep what I call a blissful ignorance to everything. And this doesn't mean being an idiot and not being informed on certain things. It just means not caring about an outcome one way or the other. My brother was really good with this and still is, where he doesn't really watch the news, doesn't really focus on the news, anything related to the news, right? And for a while, he was actually off social media. And so nothing really entered his realm, entered his field. And as a result, he was a lot more chill of a person. And he didn't really focus on things like that. And I kind of admired that because while I think I'm a pretty relatively chill person and I don't overthink a lot of things, at least anymore, I definitely used to get in my head about a lot of things. But it really wasn't up until around this time last year where I was like, okay, I need to find a new approach to life that's less stressful. It's less thinking. Because at the end of the day, stress is what kills, right? The more stressed out you are, the more, your cortisol spikes. And I know it sounds funny, especially with like the looks maxing shit nowadays, but that is a serious thing that affects your health. So being less stressed, being more ignorant to the things that are gonna affect your day to day, unless it's gotten to a point where you truly can't ignore them, I don't think it hurts to be ignorant to these things. Like, instead of approaching every new interaction with, what's going to happen, good or bad, just be okay with what is. You know what I mean? You acknowledge the weather, you acknowledge the situation, you acknowledge what is, and you're not really concerned about controlling an outcome and overthinking. So you're not getting stressed out about it. You're not worrying about it. You're not overthinking unnecessarily, because the outcome is going to be the same for the person that overthinks and the person that doesn't think at all. It was Seneca that said we suffer more in imagination than reality. We think more in our imagination, overthink all these little things that in reality don't actually affect us in our day to day. And when they're over with, we often think that it wasn't so bad, right? When you're a kid and you're getting a shot at the doctor, and afterwards, maybe you're a kid that's like freaking out or crying and you don't want to get the shot because it's so scary, a needle. And then afterwards, the doctor, your parents are like, that wasn't so bad, was it? Because we often suffer more in imagination than reality. And I love that quote. I think that's a great representation for this whole concept. But it's really about not just being ignorant, but being blissful in your ignorance, to where not only do you not care, but you're happy about what is. I'm happy. I have a sense of gratitude towards life. And no matter what outcome is thrown my way, I'm going to be positive about it regardless. I'm going to be an optimist. I'm going to be happy and looking forward to the next opportunity. And knowing that I'm living a life that I chose, that I want, that I'm happy with. So no outcome can really conquer me. This is kind of like, I talk about freedom a lot and what being truly free means. And I think this is kind of along the lines of what true freedom would look like, right? Because you don't care now about any kind of outcome, about any situation. Ideally, you don't care what people think about you, and you're focused more on your sense of peace than anybody else or any other outside factor and how it affects you. It's tough to control this because, your brain obviously targets things like fear and anxiety and, all the things that it loves to feed off of and naturally overthink. And obviously, if you're somebody that suffers from anxiety, depression, and things like that, that's makes your task a little tougher to not focus on these things. But I think the power of the mind is unlimited. And if you can learn to control and learn to kind of rewire your brain based on, and just put it on an island, a peaceful island, in your thoughts through, positive affirmations and just really gauging your situation and understanding that it's not so bad. Think about everything you see on social media. You're constantly scrolling all day and you're getting all this horrible news about all these negative things that's designed to come up on your For You page because negative news sells, right? So you're seeing all this negative stuff and your brain loves it. Your brain feeds off of it, but then it feeds into your anxiety and depression. And it's an unfortunate, circle of life there, but it starts with you. If you didn't scroll, if you didn't go on your phone, you wouldn't be seeing all these negative things. And people think that it can just be turned on and off, but this is a progressive thing that happens over time. You need to stay off your phone for multiple days. You need to cleanse yourself of all the shit that you see online because that's eating at your brain and you don't even know it. And that's what's causing this overthinking, this depression, and contributing to your lack of ignorance. You need to be more ignorant to the shit that you see online that's feeding to your negative self-talk, depression, anxiety. I don't make this video and I don't mean to sound super tone deaf to all the terrible things that are happening in the world, but unless you're a political activist or somebody that's actually trying to contribute to change and it's essentially your job to focus on the news and do these things, basically what I'm trying to say is unless you're actually physically doing something about it and not just talking or listening to it, talking about it or listening to it, then, and you're worried about the anxiety and the stress in your life, then you shouldn't focus on those things. Because, like I said, unless you're making change, unless you're actively contributing to it, it's only causing you harm. It's only causing you anxiety and depression and, making you overthink. And it's not just applicable to these things. Of course, it's going to sound contradictory, but I kind of urge people to at least be informed and understand what's going on in the world. But when it comes to other more simple things like, stressing out for like a job interview or stressing out for an exam, stressing out, when meeting somebody or making friends and stuff like that, just taking a really Zen approach and understanding that, like Seneca says, you're suffering more in your imagination than in reality. Keep going, because what you're overthinking is probably not so bad and it probably won't happen. And by overthinking it, you're adding to your stress levels, which will contribute to an unhappy life. So try to calm down, take a step back, get off your phone a little bit and not focus on the negative things. In other news, I will be ending the streak of posting on YouTube on this video. So this will be my 80th and final video of the streak. That being said, I still am going to post 3 times a week. I just think it's gotten very redundant for me, and I've been kind of shuffling through the same topics because I feel like I don't have enough time to really get in depth about stuff and make essentially better videos. I don't think the quality of the videos I'm putting out is bad necessarily, but I just don't feel like it's at the quality that I want it to be at. I also want to do more in these videos. I kind of want to go out and explore the city and take videos of that and just do more things in general. But most of all, this 80-day streak, which was originally only supposed to be a 30-day streak, was intended to be uncomfortable for me and to push me out of my comfort zone and to do something that would be a catalyst to my growth. And I can say with confidence and with joy, honestly, that it's not something that does that for me anymore, which is great. That means I've achieved I've surpassed a new threshold of what causes my discomfort and thus my growth. So that being said, I want to take it to a new level. So what I'm going to start doing is making 3 videos a week. And at the start, they might be very, very similar because I kind of haven't really fleshed out what exactly it's going to look like for me yet. But I definitely want it to be new and somewhat different. And at the very least, if the videography isn't that much different, I want at least the topics to be, more in depth, more studied on my part, and better explained on my part, and just different topics in general. I feel like maybe the last 10, 15 videos, 20 videos even, you can kind of tell that there's been a little bit of a consistency in the topics. Not that I'm like literally saying the same things, but I think you understand what I mean. It's just kind of recycling similar, values and whatnot. So I really want to expand a little bit and expand in the sense of like talking about different topics, but still even narrow down my niche a little bit more so that, my channel can be categorized with something specific and it's not so broad anymore. So if you've been watching this video for this long, at this point, it's probably, a little under 15 minutes. But if you've been watching my videos since the start of this streak, thank you very much. It means a lot to me. And I'm not done posting, so I'll be back soon. I'm not sure when I'm going to start this whole schedule, but 3 times a week, that's what we're starting with. So thank you for watching.